you remember that after Ms. Heard's birthday dinner, you and Ms. Heard and some other friends were scheduled to leave for Coachella the day after?
Yes.
So after the dinner, I know you attended the dinner, but after the dinner the next day, when you arrived to the penthouse, you noticed shattered glass on Ms. Heard's bedroom floor.
Correct.
What kind of glass was it?
I don't know.
Can you tell where it comes from?
I couldn't tell where it had come from.
Did you notice any other damage in the bedroom?
I believe there was a broken lamp.
Ms. Heard had 2 dogs at the time, correct?
At the time of this?
Yes.
Yes.
And do you recall where the dogs were when you were in the bedroom with Ms. Heard on April 22nd, 2016?
In the bed.
Were you concerned about the dogs injuring themselves on the glass?
Yes.
Did she look upset?
When I arrived?
Yes.
She was asleep.
When she woke up, did she look upset to you?
Yes.
What made you think that she was upset or looked upset?
She started crying.
Now let's turn to the events of May 21, 2016. Okay. At some point, did Ms. Heard tell you that Mr. Depp wanted to come to the penthouse to get some stuff on May 21st, 2016?
I don't remember what exact day she said that, but she said that.
I'll make the representation to you that we're talking about May 21st, 2016, when Ms. Heard alleged that Mr. Depp threw a phone at her. So, do you recall knowing that Mr. Depp was planning to come by the Eastern Columbia building on or about May 21st, 2016 to collect some stuff?
I remember that she told me that he wanted to come over.
Do you remember who was at the penthouse before Mr. Depp came over?
On which, when?
On May 21st, 2016. You were there, obviously, correct?
Yes.
And Ms. Heard was there?
Yes.
Was Josh Drew there?
Yes.
Was Elizabeth Mars there?
Yes.
Were you preparing for a jewelry show the next day that you were doing, Ms. Pennington?
I was preparing.
Was anybody assisting you prepare for that show?
Yes.
And you were in Penthouse 5 on May 21st, 2016, preparing for that show?
We were in and out of Penthouse 5 and Penthouse 1.
At some point, Ms. Heard left Penthouse 1 and Penthouse 5, and she went to Penthouse 3, correct? At some point that evening?
Yes.
Sometime after Ms. Heard left to go back to Penthouse 3, you received a text message from her, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember where you were when you received this message?
PH1, penthouse 1.
Where was Mr. Drew?
With me in PH1.
And where was Miss Mars?
She was either with us in PH1 or in PH5.
And do you remember what you were doing when you received this message?
No.
What did you do after you received this message from Miss Heard?
I went straight over to PH3.
Could you hear when you went straight over to PH3, Mr. Depp and Miss Heard yelling?
Sorry, will you repeat just the beginning of the question? You broke up a bit.
When you went to penthouse 3, could you hear Mr. Depp and Miss Heard yelling?
Yes.
Do you recall what they were saying to each other?
No.
Do you recall the door being locked to penthouse 3 when you got there?
The door was always locked.
Did you have a key?
Yes.
Did you use the key to open the door?
Yes.
I believe you previously testified that the penthouses 3, 4, and 5 were all connected. Is that correct?
Correct.
And so you can get from penthouse 5 to penthouse 3 without going out the main hallway. Is that right?
Correct.
When you entered penthouse 3, only Mr. Depp and Miss Heard were in the penthouse, right?
Yes.
Do you know where Mr. Depp was standing?
Yes.
Where was he?
In the living room.
What part of the living room?
The sort of like the entry, like the in-between from the kitchen to the living room.
And where was Miss Heard?
On the other side of the living room.
Was she by the couch?
Yes.
And were they approximately how far apart?
8 feet, 10 feet.
And they were both standing when you first came in?
Yes.
What's the first thing you remember, Miss Pennington, when you entered the penthouse?
The first thing I remember was just hearing them. I don't remember what they were saying, but it was verbal argument, and then he continued to yell, and I went over to her and then stepped between him.
Where was Mr. Depp when you sat between them?
The sofa is an L in the corner of the living room. The coffee table fit into the L shape. Amber was on the far side. Johnny was on the other side of the L, with the coffee table between them.
At some point, Mr. Depp's security team came in. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that was Jerry Judge and Sean Beth?
Yes.
Where was Mr. Depp standing when they entered the apartment?
In the space between the living room and the kitchen.
And you were with Ms. Heard on the sofa?
Yes.
Mr. Depp eventually left penthouse 3 with his picture. Is that correct?
Eventually, yes.
And he left you and Ms. Heard in penthouse 3?
Yes.
From the moment you entered house 3 until Mr. Depp left, did you see Mr. Depp touch Ms. Heard?
I didn't see him touch her.
Did you see him throw anything at her?
I didn't see him throw anything at her.
What did you do after Mr. Depp left penthouse 3?
We took Amber to penthouse 1.
Is that where Mr. Drew and Miss Mars were?
I don't know where they were specifically. I don't know if they were in different places or which apartment they were in.
What did you do once you and Miss Heard got back to penthouse 1? She wanted her purse. So I asked Josh to go find her purse in PH3. Did you observe any property damage in any of the penthouses?
Yes.
What damage did you observe in penthouse 3?
He had smashed a bunch of the, on his way out, I saw this, on his way out, he had knocked over a bunch of items that were on the kitchen island, fruit baskets and bottles and things like that. That was the main damage in PH3.
What damage did you see in PH5?
In PH5, there were photos that had been smashed off the wall, items that I had been working on the table that had been thrown against the wall. Yeah.
You also observed injuries to Ms. Heard's face, correct?
Yes.
What did you see?
Her cheek was red and swelling.
Do you recall when you noticed her cheek?
No.
But you didn't see how this occurred, right?
I didn't see.
At some point, 2 police officers arrived. Is that correct?
At 2 points, 2 police officers arrived.
Before the first set of police officers showed up, had you cleaned up any of the damage in penthouse 3 or 5?
I don't remember.
Where were you when the police officers arrived? The first set?
PH3.
Did you see Ms. Heard speak to the officer? The first set.
Yes.
Did you see the officers enter penthouse 3?
Yes.
They look around penthouse 3?
Yes.
Did they enter penthouse 5, the first set of police officers?
I'm not sure.
Is it your testimony, Ms. Pennington, that the first set of police officers saw the damage you allege Mr. Depp caused in penthouse?
I don't know what they saw, but there was damage there.
And another set of 2 officers came later in that night. Is that correct?
Correct.
Between the first set of officers leaving and the second set of officers arriving, how much time had passed?
I don't remember exactly.
Do you have an approximation of how much time had passed? An hour or 2, less than that?
Less than 3.
3 hours? Less than 3 hours?
Less than 3.
In this time, do you recall cleaning up any of the damage to penthouse 3 or 5?
I don't recall.
Do you recall Ms. Heard speaking with either of the second set of officers?
No, I don't remember if she did or not.
Did these officers, the second set, look around penthouse 3?
I can't guess, so I don't know.
Ms. Pennington, have you ever personally witnessed Mr. Depp physically attack Ms. Heard?
Yeah, can you be specific to physically attacked?
Did you ever witness Mr. strike Ms. Heard?
No.
Did you ever witness Mr. Depp throw anything at Ms. Heard?